News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. Today, we get the first Senate hearing about the insurrection. A judge bench slaps Jacob Wohl. The man who gouged out a cop's eye in the Capitol riots is arrested. We're getting more information on the makeup of the Insurrection Commission. Purdue announces he will not run against Warnock in 2022. And Cuomo's approval rating drops 6 points amidst the nursing home scandal. I'm AG.
And I'm Dana Goldberg.
So I just want to open up by saying that, like, all my love and positivity is going out to Tiger Woods and his family right now. He was in a one-car crash, pretty serious. He's got compound leg fractures in both legs. He is in, he's not in critical condition. He's not got a life-threatening issues or anything like that, but he's in surgery right now for his leg. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to
I echo that as well.
say our thoughts go out to his family. A lot of news today. That hearing was disturbing. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I actually got to talk to Kyle Cheney. He's the congressional reporter for Politico, and he wrote a piece about the hearings that went on today with, regards to the police response and the slow rollout of the National Guard. It's going to be a really interesting discussion with him. And then, Dana, you and me, Thursday, 5 Pacific on the Stereo app. That should be fun.
Always is.
Yep. And we'll have to come up with a theme. If you have an idea for a theme, you can send it to us go to dailybeanspod.com and click on contact and just do a general thing and tell us what you think our theme should be this Thursday. And that's download the Stereo app for free. Follow Dana, follow me, and we'll have a good time. It's a party.
It's a party. I'm going to wear a hat. You won't know that, but I'm going to have my party hat on.
It's a no pants party, so
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I've been doing that the whole time. Okay, moving on.
We do have a lot of news to get to. Let's hit the headlines. Let's do it with the hot notes. Hot notes. So, lead story today is the insurrection hearing in front of a joint Senate committee, which included the Senate Rules Committee and the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. Like I said, I'll be speaking with Politico reporter Kyle Cheney about that hearing a little later in the show. Standout moment for me was Ron Johnson today. Russia Ron Johnson continuing to do Putin's work by spreading disinformation into the Senate record, stating the siege was jovial. He read from an article saying that it was a false flag operation and that the rioters were Antifa and not Trump supporters or white supremacists. And as that was happening, news broke that one of the insurrectionists that was arrested had posted videos saying it was not Antifa. Don't give credit to Antifa. It was all us. We're Trump supporters and we're white supremacists. I'm paraphrasing. But so that was interesting as he was doing that.
Festive.
Very festive.
Festive.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Festive.
I mean, AG,
and jovial.
Yeah, my birthday is in April. I'm going to be 40-something. I'm going to be 40-something. I'm not going to have a pandemic party. I'm just going to have an insurrection. Apparently, they're jovial and very festive.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, sign me up.
Yeah. You're like, I don't really know what to say to that. Not all the jokes land. Okay, let's keep going.
I'll bring a gallops
Okay, perfect.
to your jovial festival, your jovial
good Lord.
Festivus. And this just in, breaking news. We have reports that Zip Tie Guy has been charged with information. It's called an information charge. We've talked about this a lot on the show. It's a misdemeanor count, like 1 or 2 misdemeanor counts, very low counts. And that is indicative of one of 2 things. Either he is prepping to cooperate with authorities. And as we know, we've talked to a lot of former federal prosecutors, Eli Honig, et cetera, Renato Mariotti, who say, when you cooperate to get not like somebody else that was at the insurrection, but somebody higher up. So we'll see what that goes. The other thing could be that they're just deciding not to prosecute him because he's a veteran and a white guy. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping the information charge means that we will be getting a plea agreement out of Zip Tie Guy. And the man known as the Eye Gouger has been detained for his role in the siege from 4 New York News, a retired NYPD officer.
Goodness.
Who had been assigned for a time to work perimeter security at City Hall and at Gracie Mansion, that's the mayor's official residence, has been accused of using a pipe to attack U.S. Capitol officers during the siege. Law enforcement officials with knowledge of the case have told this information to News 4 on Tuesday. Thomas Webster surrendered to the FBI's Hudson Valley office Monday to face charges in the ongoing investigation. A day later, in White Plains federal court, his lawyer, James Monroe, described Webster as a family man who spent his 54 years living in New York raising his 3 kids with his wife, apart from time served in the Marines. He was dishonorably discharged, but has had no prior arrests. According to Monroe, who argued Webster was not a danger or a flight risk, he gouged out a cop's eye. Okay.
With a...
Now, Webster did go to the U.S. Capitol to participate in a protest that January day, but was not part of any group or organization. Monroe said his client, who spent 20 years with the NYPD before retiring, went to D.C. to protest at an event at the behest of the former president of the United States. So yet another insurrectionist saying that Trump incited the riot. The FBI had released an image, and later identified by law enforcement officials as Webster as part of their ongoing investigation. And when Webster learned his image had been circulated on social media, he went to Monroe, his lawyer, who told him the best course was to surrender in a show of good faith. Now, nearing 2 months after the siege, the FBI continues to make arrests throughout the country. Since the violent riot, a number of tri-state residents have been arrested and charged with various crimes in connection with the deadly event, including a New York City sanitation worker, the brother of a retired NYPD officer, an MTA worker, and an Upper West Side community leader. So, again, we've talked about the infiltration of white supremacists in everyday life.
All facets. They are in our workplaces. They are the person in the cubicle next to us. They are your fellow police officers. It is a little bit frightening how deep this goes. AG, this next story is also coming from New York. It seems New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, as we know, he's a Democrat. His approval rating has fallen 6 points amid reports his office concealed data relating to coronavirus outbreaks in nursing homes, though it remains higher than before the pandemic began, which is really interesting. 57% of New Yorkers approve of Cuomo's performance, while 38% disapprove, a number that has risen 5 points in the last 10 days, according to Morning Consult poll. That's a poll that was released Monday. So Cuomo's critics have hit him repeatedly on his handling of a nursing home outbreak, and a January 28th report issued by Attorney General Letitia James, also a Democrat. Her office outlined systemic undercounting of deaths. So I think we've all heard the story by now. However, this did not translate to a substantial drop in approvals before mid-February, when the New York Post reported a Cuomo aide told lawmakers the governor's office withheld data to prevent it from being, quote, used against us by the Trump administration. So the governor still has the support of 81% of Democrats in the poll. However, the portion of Democrats who say they strongly approve of his performance has dropped by 9 points since January. So that's only 33%. So 42% of independents polled approve of Cuomo compared to 49% who disapprove. This is the first time a plurality of independents have disapproved since the beginning of the pandemic. Everyone was very happy with his job up until this. Cuomo has said, at least the majority, I should say, Cuomo has said he will seek a third term as governor, has declined to directly apologize, saying that only that the withholding of data created a, quote, void that failed people in that moment. So, listen, I don't necessarily agree with the way Andrews handled this. I think some of his statements have been a little bit not forthcoming. And from what other people have said, he's been a little bit prickly.
A little bristly.
A little bristly in that special when people have wanted to talk to him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that story.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, we could report for hours on the terrible things that Republican governors are doing as well.
Yeah.
But definitely needed to get this story out there. And hard-right hoaxers, Jacob Wohl and Jack Berkman, caught with their flies down again. They wanted to pause a civil lawsuit accusing them of violating the Ku Klux Klan Act through robocalls targeting black voters until their criminal cases over the same conduct had ended. So Jacob and Jack were like, hey, can you pause this civil lawsuit while we face these federal criminal charges? A federal judge shot that down on Monday, finding that such an indefinite delay could harm the integrity of future elections. quote, "It is important to note that our elections occur periodically," U.S. District Judge Victor Marrero wrote in a 14-page ruling on Monday. He went on to say, "By the time defendants' criminal proceedings have concluded, countless elections may have taken place." The National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, which brought a lawsuit in Manhattan federal court against the alleged fraudsters in late October, I think we can drop the alleged.
Yeah.
Asked for a temporary restraining order in a lawsuit accusing Wohl and Berkman of violating the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. In October, Judge Marrero found those claims likely to prevail in a decision blasting the men's campaign of electoral terror, quote unquote. The right to vote embodies the very essence of democracy, the judge wrote last year. Absent free and fair elections, uninfluenced by fear, the underpinnings of democratic rule would crumble. The United States Constitution, as enforced by Congress and the courts, enshrines these principles. The judge made the parallels between the KKK's racist campaigns and those he found the hoaxers likely engaged in explicit in his ruling. He says, quote, "In the current version of events, Berkman and Wohl used to intimidate voters, though born of fear and similarly powered by hate, are not guns, torches, burning crosses, or other dire methods perpetrated under the cover of white hoods. Rather, Berkman and Wohl carry out electoral terror using telephones, computers, and modern technology adapted to serve the same deleterious ends."
Wow, that is powerful.
As a result of that ruling, Wohl and Berkman were forced to send out a new round of robocalls informing the recipients of their original shitty messages that a federal judge found them discriminatory and illegal. The men tried to argue that the order interfered with their rights to a fair trial on criminal charges brought by prosecutors in Ohio and Michigan based on the same messages. Wohl and Berkman's attorney David Schwartz from the firm Gertzman Schwartz told Law and Crime that his clients intend to appeal the decision.
Of course they do. They appeal all the decisions, but they are guilty as fuck. They have been for a very long time. Just a couple of pieces of garbage that those I want to call them boys. Those boys are. My goodness.
And a reminder, they would target Black communities and make these robocalls saying, if you vote, they'll know who you are. They'll arrest you if you have outstanding warrants, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it just intimidated them.
Horrible. Absolutely. This next one is a good news story, I believe. Democrats have drafted a plan for the formation of an insurrection commission designed to investigate what led to the January 6th Capitol insurrection. So a senior Democratic aide involved in the negotiations described the plan as a discussion draft to begin the process of crafting the legislation that will be used to form the group. Now, according to the aide, the drafts call for a commission of 11 members outside of government that will be appointed by the congressional leaders and the White House. The quote-unquote Big Four leaders in the Congress would each get to appoint 2 members, while the president would appoint 3 members, including the chair. So based on the current leadership makeup of Democrats would choose 7 of the commission members and Republicans would pick 4. Which I do believe is a good thing in our favor. The commissioners would be tasked with filing the report by the end of 2021. The commission would end 60 days after the report had been issued. This draft is just the beginning of the negotiations, though. Republicans will likely offer a counterproposal before the legislation is ultimately drafted. Of course they're going to counter it.
Yeah, I imagine they'll come back and say, no, we want 7 and you get 4, and we'll end up with 6 and 5.
Right.
That's probably what will end up happening.
Because Democrats need to fight more. I don't mean dirty. I just mean fight. I saw you echoing David's tweet. Was it David's tweets on Twitter?
Yeah, David Weissman's like,
Yes.
why do Dems keep rolling over? Why don't they fight? And I'm like, welcome to the
party.
other part of being a Democrat. Enjoy.
Oh, goodness. It's infuriating.
It really is. In other news, despite filing for a Senate run against Reverend Warnock just a week ago, former Senator Purdue, who lost to John Ossoff in the January 5th runoff, has decided to back out of the race. I guess he looked at the numbers, didn't realize that Warnock beat Loeffler by a bigger margin than Ossoff beat Purdue. So he was like, maybe that's not the best idea.
Maybe he got an insider tip that he was going to lose and decided not to buy that stock.
Yeah, insider politicking.
Right.
Warnock responded, quote, "I'm prepared to defeat whatever Republican they come up with," which I love. Whatever one they come up with.
Whatever one you want to throw in there. I have no doubt that he will, too. He had a very strong showing in that election, a very strong showing.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And I remember going to bed so happy that night
Me
and then waking up
too.
to January 6th.
Yeah.
Speaking of January 6th, we're going to be right back with Politico's Kyle Cheney about the conflicting testimony in today's Senate hearing on the insurrection. So stay with us.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's AG, and today's episode of the Daily Beans podcast is brought to you by Nebia. To me, the best way to get my day started right is with a really good morning shower. I get a good hot steam going, gets me in gear. I get some of my best ideas when I'm in the shower. I love it. It's my quiet time. And that's why I'm stoked to tell you about Nebia. They want to empower your shower. Backed by some of the biggest names in Silicon Valley, including Tim Cook. It's designed by former Tesla, NASA, and Apple engineers who spent years researching and developing a superior shower experience that saves water and is anything but ordinary. The Nebia takes your shower to a whole new level. It's like a steam room combined with an invigorating shower. After a Nebia shower, I feel relaxed and reinvigorated and recharged. It's like I took a spa day. The Nebia by Moen Spa Shower is Nebia's most advanced shower yet, with twice the coverage and half the water usage of standard shower heads. Despite using 45% less water, its spray is 81% more powerful than the competition. Nebia's atomized droplets rinse shampoo and conditioner out of the thickest, longest hair, and it can be easily installed in 15 minutes or less without the need for contractors or plumbers or whatever. You can change a light bulb, you can change your shower head. You can install Nebia by Moen. Nebia balances functionality with a clean aesthetic to achieve a beautiful design, too. It's got 4 premium finishes to complement any bathroom. They have white and chrome, spot-resistant nickel, which is what I have. They have matte black and black and chrome as well. They also offer accessories like shower shelves and shower curtains, which pair perfectly with the shower's design. The Nebia by Moen Spa Shower starts at just $199, and for Daily Beans listeners, we have a deal. The first 100 people to use code BEANS at Nebia.com will get 15% off site-wide. Nebia rarely does deals like this, so it's a great deal to jump on. Go to Nebia.com/beans. That's Nebia, Nebia.com/beans to check out what they have to offer. The first 100 people to use the code BEANS when checking out will save 15%. Again, that's Nebia.com/beans and use the code BEANS to save 15%. Hey everybody, welcome back. Joining me today is Congress reporter for Politico, who has a byline today with Andrew Desiderio about the joint Senate committee hearing on the insurrection. Please welcome Kyle Cheney. Kyle, thanks for speaking with me today.
Good to be with you, Allison.
So let's talk a little bit about your reporting here for Politico. And according to that and the testimony we heard today, there were a lot of conflicting and confusing accounts about what happened, especially during that 115 minutes everyone's wondering about. But all 4 top officials responsible for security during the insurrection seem to agree on 2 key points. Can you tell us, first of all, who testified today and what those 2 key points of agreement are?
Sure. So the officials who testified were basically the 4 people most responsible for security, on-the-ground security on January 6th. So it was the former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund, the former House and Senate Sergeant at Arms. All 3 of those men resigned or were pushed out after the insurrection. And then you had the acting chief of the D.C. police, Robert Conti, who is still on the job. But the 4 of them all had varying degrees of responsibility for the response that day and the planning for it. And they all agreed that while they share some culpability in the events of that day, they feel like the blame really lies with 2 other entities that were not represented today: the Pentagon for slow walking the activation of National Guard troops, and the intelligence community for not adequately warning them of the degree of violence they should expect on the 6th. And that was a consistent refrain all day.
And that's something that confused me about the testimony, is that they didn't see intelligence warning of the insurrection. And I mean, we all kind of knew it was being publicly reported. Can you talk about that piece of their testimony specifically? Because, well, I mean, I know that they kept saying it over and over again, but I was hoping there would be some sort of a drill down on that specifically, and we didn't quite seem to get it.
Yeah, I think the clearest answer we got on that was this. There were previous rallies, Trump-related rallies in D.C. In November and December, and in both cases, they were given similar warnings that there were going to be violent elements in the crowd. And in both of those cases, there were violent elements in the crowd, but they were relatively small scale and containable based on the practices that they've always employed. DC police and Capitol Police are used to pretty big rallies and protests where you have some skirmishes and outbreaks of violence, not a coordinated assault on the Capitol with sort of military-style tactics. And that's what Stephen Sund, the former DC police chief, the Capitol Police chief, said was, yes, we were ready for violence. No, we were not ready for that degree of sophistication and concerted, coordinated violence.
That just seems odd. But regarding the other thing that they all seem to agree on, that the Pentagon slow-walked the response, I've been focusing on somebody named Lieutenant General Pyatt for a while now. And can you tell us what the testimony was about Pyatt today?
Yeah, we're going to have to hear from this guy because he is being sort of cast as the villain here by these four officials, essentially. They basically said that at around 2:30-ish or a little before 2:30-ish on January 6th, now we're talking almost 2 hours into the insurrection, members of Congress have been evacuated, Vice President Pence has been evacuated, people are afraid for their lives. They had a conference call with the Pentagon saying, and Sund, the former Capitol Police chief, is on the call saying, "Get me help now. We are desperate here. We are overmatched. We don't know how bad this is going to get." And you have this sort of clinical response. The way they described it was sort of, you have to explain this a little more, justify it. And what the DC police chief who was on the call, Conte, said seemed like a check the box exercise. Like they were asking very formulaically what you need and why, justify it. And that Pyatt, who you mentioned, said he was uncomfortable with the optics of armed National Guardsmen at the Capitol and was going to recommend against that request. Ultimately, he didn't recommend against it, but did say he was going to raise these concerns with his superiors. And that's where they left it. It took 2 hours at least for National Guardsmen to be activated to the Capitol after that.
Yeah, and something that stood out to me was that Sund testified that Irving said 2 days before the insurrection, January 4th, I believe, that he also did not like the optics of sending the National Guard. That's the same sort of language that was used by Pyatt. Mm-hmm. But now Irving denies he ever said that at all. And so I know they're waiting for phone records. I think somebody was requesting phone records to see when calls were made. Well, obviously, the contents of those calls is not going to be available.
Right. And now Irving, and they didn't really, again, the senators didn't really drill down on this enough. But Irving said that, there may have been the word optics may have been used, but it was never in the same, it wasn't the same context as what Pyatt was saying. He said his security and safety was always top of mind for him, even on January 4th. And that so any discussion, even if that word were used, would have only been about, does the intelligence support the deployment of National Guard troops? Is it a part of the advanced planning? And so that was the discrepancy. No one really asked Sund, why did you think it was about that Irving wanted this to be about optics when he claims that was never really the intent of his comment?
Yeah, and it wouldn't really stand to reason that had Irving said that on January 4th, he wouldn't also to be able to maintain that they had no intelligence about the attack.
Right. And I think what he said, what they all said, was they left that meeting on the 4th thinking everyone was on the same page about the response, that they all agreed that they had enough, support available to them and contingency plans in place. So it wasn't like they left that meeting and said, we're all on different pages here. No, they were all in agreement at that point.
And did they, were they able to get any answers about who sent the FBI memo and where the buck stopped on that FBI memo? Because I felt like that was a little convoluted.
It was a little convoluted. It's still not totally clear, but essentially, I don't know who at the FBI it was, but someone at the FBI sent a intelligence assessment or raw intelligence, actually is how they characterized it, about some social media posts suggesting that people were going to that January 6th rally prepared for war, I think was the words they used, and really threatening violent, sort of bloody kind of a day. And this was sent the night before by the FBI to a Capitol Police unit, an intelligence unit that received it and did not send it up the chain. Apparently, the DC police also received it by email, and we heard Chief Conte say, if they really thought this was that big of a deal, and not just sort of some uncorroborated raw intelligence, maybe they would have picked up the phone, or made sure they talked to somebody, because we didn't see it until, it was too late to act on it, and they may not have acted on it anyway because it was raw intelligence.
Yeah, I imagine they would bring in somebody from the FBI, whoever that was, to testify too. I would really like to ask them some questions, not to mention all the way up the chain to Chris Wray, to find out, hey, if you had this intelligence, why wasn't it, why weren't you at that meeting on January 4th, to discuss this? So when everybody said they walked out on the same page, they actually would be on the same, or would have been on the same page. Now, I have a question about the major conflict of the day, the major conflicting testimony, but I need to take a quick break. Will you stay with me?
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, it's AG for the Daily Beans, and this segment of the pod is brought to you by Helix Sleep. There's nobody on the planet like you, and no one sleeps like you, so why would you buy a mattress built for everyone else? Helix understands you're unique, and they customize your mattress to fit you in the way you sleep best. We all have trouble sleeping from time to time. I haven't slept well for the past 4 years. I thought it was just because of who was in the White House, but I was not sleeping on a mattress made and designed for me, and that's why Helix rocks. I found Helix Sleep. They created a sleep quiz online that takes 2 minutes to complete, and they use the answers to match your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. It's like a mattress that's customized. And so if you like a bed that's firm, or if you like a really plush mattress, or if you sleep on your side or your belly or your stomach or your back, or if you sleep really hot, with Helix, there is a specific mattress for each and everyone's unique taste. I was matched with the Helix Midnight because I like a medium firm bed and I sleep on my side, so it's perfect for me. But you don't have to take my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2019, and then again in 2020 by GQ and Wired Magazine. So just go to helixsleep.com/dailybeans, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll pick it up if you don't love it, but you will love it. And Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders for listeners at helixsleep.com/dailybeans. That's Helix, HELIX, sleep.com/dailybeans for up to $200 off. All right, we're talking to Congress reporter from Politico, Kyle Cheney, about the testimony we heard today in the Joint Senate Committee, right? The Rules and Homeland Security committees were joint today. And these were the 4 top officials who were responsible for on-the-ground security that were testifying. And the major conflict came, and I listened to this several times. It came, and I read it there was some New York Times reporting out on this yesterday as well. The main conflict came when Sund testified he called Irving at 1:09, requesting National Guard deployment, but Irving says he didn't get a call until 1:28, and it wasn't a request. It was just like, stand by, I might make a request. And so Irving said, so I stood by and didn't hear anything again until later. And it strikes me as this whole thing seems like it's Sund against the world. And I'm wondering sort of what your thoughts were on that major conflict and why I felt like they didn't stay on that long enough to resolve it.
So it was maybe the newsiest part beyond the description of how the Pentagon reacted, where they all agreed. This discrepancy between 2 of the 4 participants in today's hearing was maybe the most important aspect of things. Sund, to your point, Sund strikes me as kind of a Comey-like figure in this, where he generates outrage on all sides, and but really believes in the righteousness of his actions. And I think one thing is clear: Sund has an issue with his timeline, because you can look at the House session that day. Paul Irving says, I was on the House floor at 1:09, not taking a call from Chief Sund. Well, that's true. It's there. It's on the C-SPAN footage. You can see Irving on the House floor at 1:09, right as the joint session of Congress got underway that day. And so there's something off about Sund's timeline, and no one really asked him how to reconcile that. I don't even think the senators knew that footage was there. So no one said, hey, but he was on the floor. You can see it. And so we don't know really how Sund would reconcile that.
Yeah, I mean, unless he had a cell phone and called him on his cell phone on the floor, but it's not even the video, right?
It's not in the video. Now the camera doesn't stay on Irving the whole time, and who knows if he got a call and glanced at it and didn't take it, but again, now Irving says he has no record of this call, period. Which so that some senators asked, hey, show us your phone records, and we can really verify this. But bottom line is, if Irving's on the floor at 1:09. He's not taking a call. You're not allowed to use have an active cell phone call on the floor. You would get thrown out of the chamber.
Right, exactly.
He's the one who enforces that rule, actually. So I would tend to believe that he wouldn't take a call on the House floor.
Except for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz can use his phone on the Senate floor to look up.
As long as we get to see his text.
Priceline. He's on Priceline. It's something else that came out of that particular timeline. And it came out today. It was also reported in that New York Times reporting, was that Pelosi approved deployment as soon as she was asked. And Republicans have been blaming the delay on her. So I think maybe that was put to bed today. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they didn't drill down too hard in that. But in the run up to the hearing and in some of the testimony, they acknowledged that, Pelosi was informed about the need for National Guard deployment around 1:40-ish. And apparently, as soon as she was informed, she said yes. And then they had to coordinate a little bit with Mitch McConnell, who was also on board. But there's been this sort of budding narrative from some Republicans that, Pelosi was responsible for Capitol security, therefore this must be on her somehow. Let's get to the bottom of it. Well, now as more details come out, it seems like she reacted quickly once she was informed of what she needed to be informed of. There will be more questions about that, I'm sure. But right now, the evidence suggests that this was not a Pelosi problem or a McConnell problem, really. It was a problem at the security level of the officials we're talking about.
Yeah, so if Sun's timeline is right, which it doesn't seem like it is, then that would have meant that Irving waited 30 minutes to go and talk to Pelosi's staff. And if Irving's timeline is right, then it was Sun who failed to call to request, to have that request put in right away. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Phone records are phone records. Right.
And they're basically, the authorities have been combing cell phone records from people who breached the Capitol that day. The intelligence and the evidence is out there. It's gettable. We'll know who made what calls when. And I think the committees will get that information. And in fact, they control the Capitol Police Congress, so they can basically request whatever they want if they do pass it in the form of a resolution and demand that information from the officials that report to them.
And the Pentagon also disputes Sun's timeline. Is that correct?
Yeah, they essentially say that the conference call they all had, I forget now the precise order of what they disputed, but they don't believe Sun's characterization of the foot dragging and the amount of time it took them to respond. So again, it really begs for the Pentagon to appear, which we understand will happen next week, and answer these specific questions of what are they disputing about what Sun is saying and why did it take as long as it did for them to approve National Guard.
Yeah, there's just no clear bad guy yet.
Yeah, everybody wants a certain person to be the bad guy, and we don't know who actually is at this point, if anyone, or if it's all just going to be a big circular, blameless and no accountability situation.
Yeah, it's the director's cut of Blade Runner. You don't know who the protagonist is at this point. But the next hearing is going to be with the House Appropriations Committee. Who will testify at that committee hearing? So that we're going to have the current officials, the acting sergeant at arms who succeeded Paul Irving, and the acting Capitol Police Chief who succeeded Sun. They were both there on the 6th as well in different capacities, and can speak to what happened, but also now have been involved in operational discussions since that day, and can maybe speak to what do they feel they need appropriations wise for security going forward. Are there any other security threats they're worried about, and what can they tell us about the 6th that they know that maybe the other officials didn't shed light on? Yeah, and there's a few other investigations going on too. The Department of Defense Inspector General is looking into the Pentagon's response, is my understanding. Now, I can't remember after the waterfall of Inspector General firings, Inspectors General firings from Trump at the end there. Is the Inspector General at Department of Defense an okay person?
I do know that the person who was in that role was removed. That was the person. Glenn Fine was his name. Now I recall. He was supposed to be put in charge of COVID relief.
Yeah.
And Trump sort of reassigned him or demoted him essentially, and changed and shook up. I think he put the EPA Inspector General in there as a dual-hatted official. It got very convoluted over there for a while. So I don't remember where that ended up. But that's something that will be fascinating, because one of the things hanging over all of this is Trump's personnel moves at the Pentagon in the last few weeks of his term. People were very perplexed by why he had what compelled him to put close allies in acting capacities in these final few weeks. And they were the people in charge of decisions regarding the National Guard that day. And so we really are curious about why those people, why Trump made those moves when he did, and that the IG may be able to get some answers on that.
Yeah, unless the IG was put in there to also kind of help out with, speculating that this was a coordinated effort on the part of Trump by putting Chris Miller in there, and what was his name, Ezra Cohen Watnick.
Oh, Cohen Watnick,
and of course, whoever the inspector general is after Fine was removed. So it'll be interesting to see. I kind of want to wait until we get a Biden inspector general in there, but that's my own personal theory on that. But there are other ways that this is going to come out. We've got now the Insurrection Commission, which is being put together. The legislation is being drafted for that. And then apparently there's also investigations. The Capitol Police are looking into its own officers. What's up with that?
Another missed opportunity here today to drill down on that, because the Capitol Police themselves, have acknowledged on the record that about 36 of their officers are being reviewed for their actions on January 6th, including, I believe, 6 who were suspended with pay for their conduct on the 6th. We have no more details than that. Now, in the immediate aftermath of the insurrection, a lot of people pointed to videos of Capitol Police, seeming to be on friendly terms with some of the rioters, or seeming to pull back the barricades. Now, without context, it's hard to know, were those justified actions? Were they trying to keep tensions cool, or were they under orders to sort of lower the temperature? I don't know. Without context, we won't know. But this was an opportunity to ask about that, and they didn't. Hopefully we'll find out more about what those investigations of the officers are. Yeah,
and perhaps in the Insurrection Commission we'll get to speak and hear testimony from those officers and all of the incidental people who had roles that day. Because you're right. All we saw was like officers taking selfies with people but removing the barricades. We've heard a lot of the police radio chatter saying the line is broken. The line is broken. Right. You got to retreat. And look, these people were, there was across the radio, you heard and you saw the video of the reports of officers being beaten, like viciously beaten by some of these people in the mob. So a lot of these people are scared for their lives. If I'm in a room with 100 of these people, I don't know if they have violent intent or not. Maybe I do act friendly toward them because that might be your own self-preservation. I don't know. I just don't know, and I don't think anybody truly knows right now. Yeah, and until we hear from them, I think we won't know, or unless we get information from those investigations by the Capitol Police Department itself. All right, finally, just one last thing. What is up with Ron Johnson? I mean, it's truly off the deep end kind of stuff with him. He dabbled in it in some of his investigations when he was in the majority. He's up for re-election in 2022. He wants to fashion himself as a close ally of the president. But still, other allies of the president haven't taken this tack. I mean, Ted Cruz, for whatever, he's never going to have any friends on the left, but called this a terrorist attack on the Capitol. He's not underselling what happened. Ron Johnson seems to be the only one, at least in the Senate, who is treating this insurrection like it's not an insurrection, like it might have just been this, like it might have been a false flag type of event, or at least saying, I'm just asking questions. Maybe it's a false flag. Who knows? And injecting that into the discussion, which no one else seemed to do. Yeah, it was jovial, and also at the same time, it was Antifa. It's just odd. And I remember him bringing debunked Russian disinformation into a committee hearing when he was chair. And after being warned not to. It's just after, I think actually they were warning Ratcliffe not to put that out, but it's just, it boggles my mind. I don't understand what's going on with him, but Wisconsin's going to be a hard sell after this latest election. It's looking pretty blue up there.
Yeah, I mean the knock on or the rap on Wisconsin is always I think 47 to 47 is a guarantee, and then the fight over that last 6% is where the election happens, and that's been true in the last several statewide elections there, and so it will always be close. But Ron Johnson has become a bit more a polarizing figure even than he was when he was elected the last 2 times.
Yeah, interesting tack. Well, thank you very much, Congress reporter for Politico. I encourage everyone to read the piece that you have the byline on today. Kyle Cheney, I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Everybody stick around. We'll be right back with the good news. Hello, Beans listeners. It's AG. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Caliper CBD. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns. Dealing with stress is critical. We know it's important to practice self-care, but taking care of yourself shouldn't add to your stress. And that's why I love CBD. It helps you feel better without having to make drastic changes to your routine. If you have not tried CBD, I highly recommend it. CBD has helped me feel less anxious and more calm. It's helped me sleep easier, and it's even helped me feel less sore after long workouts. My favorite thing about Caliper CBD specifically is they've introduced a better way to consume CBD. It's an easy-to-use powder. So unlike oils, Caliper CBD powder is completely tasteless, and it mixes easily in any food or drink. And there's precisely 20 milligrams in each packet of Caliper CBD, so you never question how much CBD you're taking. I like to put some in my morning coffee or a post-workout protein shake. And this is what's cool. It's clinically proven you absorb 450% more CBD with Caliper CBD powder compared to tinctures. That is so much more. And Caliper gives you all the benefits of CBD in just 15 minutes. That's about twice as fast as CBD oil. And Caliper is completely THC-free, so you get all the benefits of CBD with no intoxicating or mind-altering effects. Caliper is made with all natural, non-GMO ingredients. There's no fillers or added chemicals or artificial flavors. So take care of yourself, but make it easy on yourself with Caliper CBD. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code DailyBeans at trycaliper.com/dailybeans. You can try Caliper CBD risk-free for 30 days. If you don't love it, they will give you a full refund. So go to trycaliper.com/dailybeans and don't forget promo code DailyBeans for 20% off your first order. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news. Ago, we adopted a new puppy, Angus. He was listed as a 4-month-old lab mix, good with cats, crate-trained, housebroken, and good with basic commands. At the risk of spoiling the game, I'll just say they were about as right as the other stuff they were about this breed.
Oh, jeez.
We had him DNA tested, so we knew for sure what he is. And it's a challenging one. I'm attaching a picture of his DNA results. I know you won't peek. This has been a super fun game, and I appreciate how much work you do to include feel-good and non-political stuff to help the news feed be more digestible.
Oh, look at the baby.
Okay, so let's see. He was listed as 4-month-old lab mix.
He said he was wrong with the lab because I was going to say chocolate lab pity. There's some pit bull in the eyes.
Oh, what a honey.
Oh, goodness. I think the dog's name should be Honey. Okay, so no lab.
American Bulldog. And pity. I think you're right.
I do see pity in the eyes, so I'm going to go with that for sure. I'm surprised there's not some chocolate lab in there.
Yeah, that chocolate lab with those ears, right?
Yeah, and maybe a little shepherd.
Well, let's see what we got here.
Okay.
Siberian Husky.
What?
Chinese Shar-Pei, Dalmatian, Pity, and German Short-Haired Pointer. Siberian Husky.
Did you just throw Pity in there? I don't see it.
It says American Staffordshire Terrier.
Oh, got it.
I think that's a Pity, isn't it?
Really?
A Staffy? Maybe I'm wrong. Perhaps I'm incorrect.
Oh, man.
Let me look that up.
See, I'm a Jew, so I didn't recognize the German short-haired pointer. I don't know what they look like.
No, American Pit Bull Terrier is different from Staffordshire Terrier.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, this is a beautiful dog.
I know. I absolutely love this dog.
Siberian Husky. That makes total sense. All right. Thank you so much for this beautiful baby. I'm enjoying this game, too. We kind of suck at it, but it's been a lot of fun.
Although I just found out that a cattle dog is a blue heeler. So we were right about that. Now, I will say, looking at this pup, first of all, it looks like the RCA dog. Right?
Yeah.
But the way he's sitting, gives me the husky vibe.
Oh, I can
But
see
that's
that.
about it. But
Yeah,
that's about it.
That's about it. All right. Next one. This is from Jesse, pronouns he and him. I've been practicing calligraphy as a means to mentally unwind during the quarantine. To keep me amused, I write a few of the with swears nicknames and phrases from the Mueller report and the Daily Beans like Dick Dick Toilet Wine, Big Dick Toilet Wine. Big Dick Toilet Wine, and stuff. I could use a comprehensive list for research, of course. If one exists, let me know on Twitter at Lost Angel, and I'll post it on Facebook group too if I can compile something. So we're looking for the swears that they like to do with calligraphy. First, a duh moment. Awesome. I married a man. There's a period after this, so I want you to realize that's how I'm reading it. First, a duh moment. I'm a married man of an age where I get all of AG's 80s references, and I'm learning how to do calligraphy from YouTube. As I'm watching a very talented young lady describe how to achieve, I can't read today, how to achieve a perfect loop at the top of the cursive S, she says, kind of like if you had written a print S, but connected it from below. I blinked, looked at what I'd drawn, and had one of those, oh my God moments. I'd always thought the cursive S was just a unique cursive shape. And now I'm questioning all the other unique cursive shapes. Like, is a capital G actually a G somehow? Here's one of my practice sheets and a photo of our pet Cobalt, the Frenchie, who is absolutely... I have to say, French Bulldogs are one of the cutest puppies I've ever seen in my life.
What a beautiful color, too.
Yes. It's fucking... Okay, this is what the calligraphy says. It's fucking essential. Big Dick Toilet Wine. Turtle Dick Mitch. Fuckstick Von Clownface. Fuckstick Von Clownface. Too Dumb to Crime. Yellowcopter.
Yeah.
Your calligraphy is very nice, though.
It's very beautiful. The thread on Facebook is hilarious, by the way. Somebody actually put together an amazing spreadsheet of Beanisms or Mullerisms.
I love it.
And it was fantastic to go back and look at all of the nicknames and phrases that we've coined over the years. It was interesting and fun, and it was really cool. Like the body of work.
I think calligraphy is so pretty, too.
Yeah, it really is. Really well done, too.
Yeah.
Good job. Next up from Jay, pronouns they and them. Hello, ladies. I've been listening since I heard AG and Jonathan Van Ness on Jonathan Van Ness is Getting Curious, and you and Dana have become my favorite comedians who also talk about the news. I'm not sure if this counts as good news or a confession, but I wanted to let you know how extremely grateful I am to have found a news source who cares so much about Jews and anti-Semitism. I'm a Jew who moved to the South way too long ago, and it's been a constant struggle to stay connected, even with all my Orthodox family. That's why I was so excited when Dana joined the team. Listening to a queer Jewish woman talk every day really puts my mind at ease. It definitely makes a difference to see someone so much like you in places of high regard and respect. Ellie Honig is also one of my favorite recurring guests. I get so excited when I see he's going to be on. I always feel like I'm listening to my aunt and uncle talk about politics. And what made me write in to say thank you was the highlight and serious tone you took handling those extremely anti-Semitic remarks from the Merrick Garland episode. It's so hard for anti-Semitism to be taken seriously, and I feel very seen whenever I listen. I know there is a deeper understanding and care here. Thank you. Attached for the pet tax should be pictures of my 6-year-old black cat Dexter and my roommate's cat named Mouse. They're cousins in terror. I like how he said should be.
Yeah.
This should be attached pictures. Let's see.
Goodness. They are here. I love when, I don't know, I just have this thing now when people name their cats Mouse. It makes me very happy.
Look at that fluffy tail on the stripy one.
They're so pretty.
That's a pretty pattern on that kitty.
My goodness. Jay, thank you for all of the compliments in there, and I'm glad that you feel heard and at home here. I do some other podcasts, and every once in a while the host says they use the word Jew, the Jews here, and it really gets my heart. And I've tried to very softly say, please don't do that, because you would never walk in and say the blacks here or the gays here. So I'm glad that you feel heard and seen. Yeah, it gets me in my chest. Gets me right in my chest. All right. This one's next mine, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
This is from Ben. Pronouns he, him, the wild New York guy. The wild New York guy. How you doing,
Hey, yo.
Ben? Hey, yo.
I'm walking.
Right. Hi. A quick news story. I've got a fun little update. Think I can keep the accent? I don't think so. Central Park is hosting a new special guest. The first... All right. I'll start over.
The first snowy owl documented in the park in over 130 years.
Yeah, well, this may yet be another indication of widespread effects of climate change. Snowy owls are known for their sporadic. What kind of fucking word is sporadic? Sporadic and often chaotic migrations. Okay, that's enough.
I like how you're kind of going in and out of Christopher Walken. Hey, a good news story, a fun little update. Central Park has hooty owls.
Ooh, owls. All right, I'm going to give Ben some more respect with this and start over. Okay, thank you for entertaining us on that. A good news story. I've got a fun little update. Central Park is hosting a new special. It's on the first snowy owl documented in the park in over 130 years.
I love
this
this
story. Well, that's maybe yet another indication of the widespread effects of climate change. Snowy owls are known for their sporadic and often chaotic migrations. So this lovely lady, the females exhibit strong barring in their coloration. In their coloration, males are almost solid white. Has been perching and hunting in the park for almost 4 weeks straight. I saw some YouTube videos of this in Brooklyn. I think, anyway. Others have been taken better quality photos, but I wanted to share what I was able to get myself. If you want to see more, check out our Twitter feed at Wild New York Show. Oh, that's why they look familiar. At Wild New York Show. Yeah, we've talked about your podcast before.
We love your show.
We love your show. Wild New York Show. There's an incredible video of her swallowing a rat whole like a frickin' baby Yoda. Well, if you're into that, all right. So the political tie-in is that the Trump administration, on its way out the door, rolled back protections in Migratory Bird Act, which made corporations liable for endangered birds killed by collisions with property and equipment. If you've got friends that are just, quote, aren't into politics, it's a good time to remind them that whatever they are into, even something as seemingly apolitical as bird watching, is directly affected by the role our government does or doesn't play it in. Really good point, by the way.
Yeah, I always like to change whenever I see the word regulation. I always like to exchange it with the word protection.
Yeah, God, smart, very smart. I realized why this is familiar because I started following them on Twitter. And there were some pictures of this beautiful snowy owl. Okay, not everyone has to make a podcast or YouTube show that investigates the intricacies of political intrigue, but we all must pay closer attention going forward, because the last 4 years were a masterclass in how easy it is to destroy things rather than build them. Your show is a big part of that consciousness raising, and we thank you. Stay wild. Yes, I had seen these pictures because I just love the idea of their show. It was so brilliant. Basically,
same. And so when he introduced himself as Wild New York Guy, I was thinking Wild and Crazy Guy. I forgot that
yes.
about the Wild New York show. I love it so much.
So it's a couple, and if I'm remembering correctly, a couple Broadway performers that obviously Broadway's gone dark, and they're either Broadway or off Broadway, but they are in the arts, and they went dark. And during that time, they were like, well, let's do a YouTube channel. And they started following all of these random animals and species in New York. And it's really cool. So that's just a revisit to them.
Yeah. So these are beautiful shots, too.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And if you get a chance, everybody, you have to check out at Wild New York Show. It's really, really great. And it's so fun. And yeah, I now I'm recognizing these pictures, too. So beautiful. Thank you. Next up, from Hannah, like Hanukkah, pronouns she and her. Hello, lovely beans queens. I was originally writing in to share my dad got his first shot of the vaccine last week. He's 66 and still recovering from cancer treatment. We live together, and I've spent most of the last year terrified I might bring COVID home and kill him. No longer. Gosh, what a relief. Even more good news, when I went with him to get his shot, I got in on the in case of cancellation list. Not really expecting to hear anything because I'm 36 and I'm in relatively good health. Well, they called me at 6:18 last night and said if I could make it by 6:45, they had a dose for me. I was about 30 minutes away, so needless to say, I broke more than a few traffic laws to get there in time. I highly suggest everyone reach out to their local health systems to see if they're doing something similar. It's not jumping the line. It's not taking a dose from someone else. It's keeping these much-needed vaccines from going to waste. I don't have any pets, so for Podtax, here's one friend's very vicious rescue pibble, Huxley, and another friend's adorable rescue terrier, Samwise. Pibble.
Oh, yeah. Vicious. Aww. Look at Vicious. That is a vicious dog.
Look at his little eyebrows.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Santa sweater. Oh, and I love the terrier dressed as a
mail
It's
delivery person.
Samwise, yes.
Oh my good, that's fantastic. I love these pop hits. Thank you so much for that, and I'm glad you got your first shot. I was telling AG, and I'll just make a confession, and this is sort of a public service announcement to anyone listening. So in LA, if you're listening in LA and someone texts you and says, hey, here's a code, they opened a new site, and they're giving this to people so that they can test out the kinks and make sure there's no problems before they enter it to the Gen Pop. Do not take the appointment. You can get an appointment with this code, but they are taking, unfortunately, these codes that are for underserved areas and farmers, teachers, as well as the Black and brown communities. Someone is getting these codes out and they're being taken by more white, affluent, rich communities. And one of them came across my phone. And so, of course, I was like, oh my God, I would love to get my vaccine, and made an appointment. And the moment I found out that what had happened, I canceled it. And it's just the same thing. If you get extra, take extra. But do not jump the line. It's just not worth it. Karma is not a good friend with those things. And so it'll happen. Everyone stay patient. But if you do get one of those codes, there's no code for people to test a new site that has been taken from an underserved community. So please heed my warning with that.
Yeah. But definitely reach out to your local clinics and pharmacies to see if they have you can get on a list for doses that would be thrown away otherwise.
Yeah, there's even one of these in East LA where it's a clinic and they don't have a refrigerator. So they vaccinate everyone over 65 all day. And then the line outside, which has gotten into the hundreds, unfortunately, and people camping out all night, they will start vaccinating people in that line because they don't have a refrigerator to keep the vaccines overnight. So definitely check in with your local health centers and see if they're doing that, because you can if you want to camp out and stay in line. Otherwise, just stay safe, social distance, keep your mask on, and we'll make it through. So, all right, this next one is from Nicole. Thank you for listening to our public service announcement, by the way. This next one's from Nicole, print on she and her. Good news, it's my birthday and I'm finally able to wash clothes again. I live in Texas. My wife, 2-year-old, and I survived the snowstorm from last week. We lost power at 4 a.m. on a Monday the 15th. We decided to stay the night in our house, not knowing we wouldn't get power back until mid-Wednesday the 17th. Thankfully, my dad got us on Tuesday. He lives by a hospital and never lost power. When he came to get us, our house was already at 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Ugh. My family and I are some of the lucky ones with no busted water pipes. Attached is a picture of my happy place when we lost our power. Us in bed with 2 layers of clothing, 4 blankets, 2 pups to keep us warm. Also included is my pet tax, a picture of my little one with her puppers, Ruby, black, and Oliver is the white one. Oh my goodness.
Look at that little angel.
It's so
Oh, sweet. And then the dogs. Look at the look on that one dog's face.
I do love that her wife does not look like she wants to be in this picture, although she's just probably staying very, very warm.
Yeah, I think this is a warmth
shot. Oh, the babies. Situation. I'm so glad you all are okay. I'm so glad your pipes did not burst, and I'm just glad you're safe. I hope all of the listeners in Texas are doing well, and you've got water running, and I know it's been hell, and you've got a lot to deal with damage, rebuilding, and control, but we are thinking about you, and please, if you need anything, reach out to the Beans community.
Yeah, and happy birthday as well, Nicole.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. That's just so terrifying. You know, I think the longest we've gone without power here was that massive San Diego outage we had. And it lasted overnight.
Yeah.
And it's also not 0 degrees outside, you know.
No.
So we were just basically without power.
Yeah, I had another friend in Austin who had lucky enough to have a place to go, but when he got back to his house inside was 32 degrees.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't even imagine. I just can't imagine. And then we got Ted Cruz and Governor Abbott and a couple other lawmakers just bailing. They're
such SOBs. I hope they get what's coming to them. Ted Cruz has a long list of karma behind him, and I hope it all catches up.
Yeah, I know. I hope he gets it in this lifetime. Like, if we're reincarnated beings, I hope it all happens this time.
100%.
Because I need to stick around and see it.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, you could submit your good news stories and anything else that you want to let us know about. You can do it at dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. Any final thoughts before we get out of here other than... everybody, download that stereo app and join the after party on Thursday. It's so much fun. It's a 5 Pacific. It's a free app. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some reason, you all are on Instagram. I know AG and I are both there. We'd love to have you there too. My Instagram handle is DG Comedy. And AG, what's yours on Instagram?
I think ours is at Muller She Wrote.
Great.
And then I also have an at the Allison Gill, maybe, or some other Allison Gill.
Sometimes I post pictures of myself in a bikini and sometimes I don't. So, hey, you'll just have to go find out.
That's what you're going to wear to the No Pants Party.
That's
Thursday,
right. That's
5
it.
Pacific.
Too bad it's just on a radio.
All right, everybody, thanks so much. Until tomorrow, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of your mental health, and take care of the planet. I've been AG.
And I've been DG.
And them's the beans. The Daily Beans is directed, written, and hosted by executive producer Allison Gill and engineered and edited by Mackenzie Mazzell and Starburns Audio. Staff writers include Dana Goldberg, Amy Carrero, and Allison Gill. Our copy is written by Jesse Egan, and our marketing manager, executive assistant, and social media director is Cheney. Fact-checking and research by Allison Gill, Dana Goldberg, and Amy Carrero. Our music is written and performed by They Might Be Giants. Our web design and branding are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios. And our website is dailybeanspod.com. Hey everybody, do not miss our Daily Beans after party on the Stereo app. We'll be going live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Dana and I want to hear from you. Our last Stereo show went a little bit like this.
And we're here doing our live after party. Daily Beans after party is what they're calling it, what the kids are calling it these days. It reminds me of, I just watched the 30 Rock episode where Liz Lemon was like out with Tracy Jordan, and he's like, "Are you going to the after party?" And they end up like on somebody's roof at the end of the night. But yeah, just finished watching that the vote to oust Marjorie Taylor Greene from her two committees. I think I was incorrect. I think the last time we were here live, I said that I thought she was only on one committee. She was on two committees. She was on education and labor and also on the budget committee. Like
education. She's on the committee of she was because she got voted off of education.
Yeah, and 11 Republicans voted alongside Democrats to oust her from these seats. So we're going to see how the backlash of that plays out, because as you know, McCarthy was like, well, what about Maxine Waters and what about so-and-so? And they get to keep their committee seats. Like they committed, like they wanted other people to be executed or believed that 9/11 was not real or what. Like, come on, like stop.
Stereo is the app for live social conversations. We want to talk directly with you, the listeners. Ask us questions about news, politics, anything. And you can share your experiences and opinions, and we want to hear it all. So download the new app called Stereo and join us live this week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Link to our show in the description, and join us over on the Stereo app.